Are you all ready for the $1,900 email in 263 words? All right, here we go. Share my screen. Okay, so I've created this. Can everyone see that? George, can you see that? Your eyes and ears? You see it? Okay, beautiful. Okay. So the one on the left is, I'm not going to tell you who, a GFP staff member wrote. And the one on the right is my rewrite of this email. Okay. So let me kind of go through it, and I'm going to go through the red markers of the things I saw wrong with the email. And then I'm going to kind of talk through my philosophy about what I did to change it. Okay. So the first one. So this is the before. So this is the one a GFP staff member wrote. So the subject is, I love this headline about lifting weights. Okay, so that was the actual subject. And the reality is, my first thought of when someone else says, I love this, as a selfish human being, I really don't care, right? I really don't care what this person loves, especially something as soft about a headline, right? Which is almost like internal marketing talk. And, something about lifting weights. It was not a compelling statement, and you could tell no one really cares. Okay, so that's the subject line. And again, I've said this before hundreds of times, your subject line has to be strong. You have to almost like write your subject line to be like, dare someone not to open your email. Okay, that's how you have to think. So the greeting, hi, Vincent. So the greeting is something I've been playing around with a lot lately. And there are lots of different words that you can use, almost like to interrupt the pattern. So hi is fine. Hey is fine. Hello is fine. But that's average, right? That's average. I'll show you some different ways that you can kind of spice it up a little bit. So it starts with the quote. Here's the thing. Again, I love this statement. Nobody cares what you love. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, if someone is of high status, if I was reading an email from Tony Robbins, right, and Tony Robbins says, I love this statement, I might tune it, right? I might tune in. But not a lot of people have that kind of pull and that kind of credibility and authority. Okay, so it starts with a quote. The secret to understanding a longer life may be a barbell. Well, okay. It uses internal language of a barbell, right? There's a lot of people reading this, and you'd be shocked to know. Think of, did Kathy Balsamo, remember Kathy, did she know what a barbell was? Probably not. She probably didn't know bell, cowbell, like what, you know what I'm saying? So people, be careful with using words that people may not know what they actually mean. And these are words that we take in for granted. I read it recently in a Men's Health article. Well, this statement, this sentence is just not necessary. It doesn't need to be there. And this is something that I'm seeing in some of your emails. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo in there that you can just take out. That every word you write should be able to move them emotionally. And anything that doesn't, you should just remove. And that's the whole thing of me telling you this in 264 words, is that some of you need to cut your emails back a ton, and even your copy as well, for the focus of much simpler, much clearer, and much more impactful and effective words on the paper. Okay, so it was just not a necessary statement. So here's the article focused on not just fitness in general. We all know that exercise is good for you, but how specific fitness activities like lifting can lead to a longer life. Okay, so it's getting to something good, like lifting weights and longer life. It's getting to something, but it's not there fast enough. They didn't get to the meat of that sentence for 20 words. So that's what you got to think about. You have to get your point across faster and not put a bunch of mumbo jumbo in there first and then get to the good stuff. Okay, so it's just too much fluff before the meat. All right, the study was conducted at Penn State College of Medicine, and they concluded that lifting weights was linked to a 19% reduced risk of death. Okay, it's a stat worth considering. Is it? Okay, yeah, 19%. Is it though? That's a stat worth considering. Doesn't mean much. Doesn't mean much. Not moving me at all. And my question is, that's a stat worth considering. And my mind goes like, yeah, kinda. Okay. And when you get kinda from your market, when they read your emails, done. It's gone. All right. There can't be any kindas in there. All right. They go on to list the benefits of lifting, things we all want as we age. Start using you. Start using you instead of we and I. Speak to them. Speak to them. Speak to the people that you're writing to. And then they list the bullet points. And the benefits don't stop there. You know, come on. Just by having more muscle mass, don't use the word mass. Why would you use the word mass? How many of your female clients want mass? 0. None of your clients want more mass. Okay? A better word is lean muscle or something like that. But the reality is they don't want mass. That goes back to, who am I writing this email to? Number 1 here. Who is this email for? All right. Is this email for your 26-year-old meathead that wants to lift weights? Well, then fine. Put muscle mass in there. If not, stay away from that word. Okay, I hope you remember. A University of Alabama study found that the women who lifted weights who lost more intra-abdominal fat, deep belly fat, doesn't need to be there. Intra-abdominal fat doesn't need to be there. Deep belly fat is all they need. So just say that. Then those who just did cardio. And this is the next sentence. Enough reasons for us all to keep lifting or start lifting weights. Too soft to end an email with. Enough reason for us all to keep lifting or start lifting weights. Doesn't do anything to my blood. Doesn't do anything to my blood. And then the email ended there. So there was no call to action, right? No call to action. So this is kind of, as I'm going through this, what I'm reading. Now, I'm willing to bet this email probably would not have performed well. So let me kind of show you the after, and I'll show you kind of side by side. So I wrote, the first thing I did was, so this is my revision of this. So the first thing I did was I wrote the person's name of who I was writing this email to. Okay, so Jane Stoops. That's a made-up person, but in my mind, it's a female that's 45 years old that opens the Gabriele Fitness emails. Okay, as I put that on. And I do this a lot. I will write the actual name of a person on the top of the page, just to keep in my mind of who am I speaking to. Do not write to a large group of people. Pick one person and write to that person. Okay, so here's the after. Subject, lifting weights, good or bad for people over 40? Lifting weights, good or bad for people over 40? So we're provoking curiosity through using a question, right? Does everyone know that lifting weights is good for people? Probably most, but here's the thing. There probably are a lot of people that say it's bad for you. Don't lift weights because your joints are going to hurt and you should just do walking and stuff like that. So we've taken something that's what people usually think is the status quo. And then we're like, okay, well, is it really? Okay, so now there's the question mark here. Okay, here's the greeting. Howdy, Vincent. What do you think that does? It's a pattern interrupt. Who says howdy? Who's a howdy? What does howdy mean? Another one is greetings. Another one would be like salutations or something like that. But think of all these different words that you could use to greet somebody. Here's one of the most important things I can tell you. The job of the first sentence is to get you to read the second sentence. The job of the second sentence is to get you to read the third sentence. The job of the third sentence is to get you to read the fourth sentence. Okay, so here is my revision of this email with not changing everything. Remember, I did leave some stuff in there, right? Okay. So, howdy, Vincent. Boom. Start with another question. Have you ever wondered if lifting weights is good or bad for people over 40? Okay. Well, yeah, probably people have wondered that. I'm over 40 now. I've heard people throw out their back lifting weights. That guy's at the gym deadlifting. Maybe I shouldn't be. But then I read the article over here, right? And I hear that lifting weights is next to kingdom come. So, yeah, I have wondered that, right? So there's the question that's thought-provoking, kind of what we discussed a little bit last week. Well, a recent Men's Health article revealed lifting weights can help you live longer. Okay, think of the difference. Lifting weights can help you live longer versus the secret to a longer life may be a barbell. What's easier to understand? Barbell versus lifting weights. Okay, live longer is an actual action word. They can picture themselves living longer, not having a longer life. Okay. So that was kind of how I changed that. The study was conducted, I kept this the same. The study was conducted at Penn State College of Medicine. They concluded lifting weights was linked to a 90% reduced risk of death. So I kept that in there because that's actually what it said. Okay. So here's where we get some what's called infotaining. Okay. That stat ought to send you to the yellow pages and find the nearest personal trainer. That stat ought to send you to the yellow pages and find the nearest personal trainer. Well, what are we doing there? Who's our market? 40 plus, right? Do they use the yellow pages? Not anymore. Did they used to? You bet. Did they almost get a little nostalgia from that? Did they almost crack a little smile from that? Send them to the yellow pages versus you could say that's that ought to send you to Google and it's soft, right? They know what I mean by yellow pages because they've all been there before. And here's another key, and I think some of you guys make this mistake. I don't think you guys talk about what you do enough in terms of what actually it is. It is personal training. It is personal training. Most of what you do is personal training, not necessarily even if you do large group, right? So when people hear personal training, they think private, they think coaching, they think, personal attention, and they think more money. That's why I didn't say that stat ought to send you to the yellow pages to find the nearest gym, because gym is synonymous with big oodles of equipment. No, the nearest personal trainer that can teach you how to lift weights. Here are a few benefits of lifting weights the study revealed. It kept this exactly the same, and then boom. And to put a cherry on top, just by having more muscle, I'm trying to, hold on a second, I'm gonna move this thing. Okay. Just by having more muscle, you'll burn more calories. So look at the difference. Oh, and the benefits don't jump there. Just by having more muscle on your frame, more muscle mass on your frame, you'll help burn more calories. So that's what it said over there, here, and this is what it says. And to put a cherry on top, do you read after someone says put a cherry on top? Yes, you do, because you want to know what that means. Just by having more muscle, very simple, very easy, you'll burn more calories. This means you'll lose more body fat. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Some of us are writing too complex. You have to dumb it down and make it simpler. Just by having more muscle, you'll burn more calories. This means you'll lose more body fat. Okay. Now, this is something I'm using a lot more, and I haven't taught this very much for you guys. And this probably should be, if this is 12 font, I like to go about 18 for that. So if your article is actually in 12 font, I like to go about 6 points higher. So the headline within the email, within the email. Okay, so almost think the headline gets them to read the next part of it, almost like you're regrouping and putting another headline in there. But will this work for women? Okay, well then I take that study over here That was over here. Well, will this work for women? A University of Alabama study that women who lifted weights lost more intra-abdominal fat, deep belly fat, and we didn't change that there, than just those that did cardio. Viola, I kept that in there, okay? Here's another one. Another reason for you to ditch the elliptical and dust off the dumbbells. Another reason for you to ditch the elliptical and dust off the dumbbells. If they don't have an elliptical in their basement, they probably got a bike, they probably got a treadmill, okay? Most everyone in the planet has a set of dumbbells at home in their basement. My parents were the least workout people on the planet, and they had cardio equipment and dumbbells in their basement. Never used, they had them. If they got them, people you know got them too. All right. Another reason for you to ditch the elliptical and dust off the dumbbells. So we're saying ditch the elliptical, cardio, dust off the dumbbells, start using those. Since there's so much proof that lifting weights is good for you, let me propose something. All right. Now we're getting into the offer. All right. Now we're getting into, all right, how can we actually make something of this? All right. Most adults over 40 have not spent a ton of time lifting weights. Probably a true statement. Okay. Even if you have, no one probably taught you the right way. Think about that. How many people reading your emails have been taught how to work out the right way? Not that many. Not that many. And even if they were at a gym, they went to a big box gym, they weren't taught. And if they went to a gym that was shitty, they also weren't taught. Your gyms are in the minority where someone comes to your gym and they have learned to work out the right way. All right. No, your football coach in high school doesn't count 25 years ago. As great as lifting weights. Now, I kind of, broke a rule there, and, my focus was a woman, but then I went with a football coach. I probably should have said something different there, but at the end, it doesn't matter because the results. As great as lifting weights is, it can be dangerous and harmful if done wrong. So a little bit of fear in there, all right, especially for people that sit most of the day. How many of the people reading on your email list sit for most of the day? Probably all of them. All right. If you'd like to learn the right way to lift weights from a super qualified and highly skilled personal trainer so you can get stronger and live longer, reply to this email with free consult in the subject. Okay. So the ... is a great tool. And I'm trying to give you a bunch of different little tricks of the trade here, and this is only going to get better with practice, guys. But the ... just breaks up the statements so they can process and read it. You're just making it easy for people to understand it. I watched I have a question for you guys. Type this into the chat. Was Make America Great Again invented by Trump? Yes or no? I feel like I gave it away. I should have asked the question a little differently. Okay. So Make America Great Again was Ronald Reagan's. And I watched a documentary, which you all should watch. It's called, hold on. I'll give you the name of it in a second. Okay, so it's called Get Me Roger Stone. It's on Netflix. But it's basically this guy that's been groomed. And I'm not a Trump fan. So when I talk about him, I talk about him only in the form of persuasion and that kind of stuff, not from I like him as a politician. Okay. Just giving you an idea. I did not vote for him. So just telling you. But Get Me Roger Stone is basically, Roger Stone is a lobbyist that basically had been training Trump to be president since the 80s. It's a really interesting story. You guys should watch it. Real corrupt shit. But anyway, this Make America Great Again was the perfect example of something simple that people can understand. All right. And that's your goal with your emails. Okay, so what were the results? Here are the results. I told you I was going to give you some results. Here's it. So we got one booked, as far as I know, one. It probably could be more. From this one email, we got one reply that booked a consult. Okay, one reply. So this is equivalent to 2 leads, right? Because you think about it, it's kind of a lead, but they booked a consult like right then and there. They responded to free consult. They emailed right away. They booked their time right away. It's literally like bypassing a lead. They almost even count it as a lead. It's almost like just a consult. All right, so we got one booked consult from this email. This is equivalent to 2 leads. If you get these results once per week, if you send one email like this a week and you got one response, every week you'd booked 52 consults. Okay, $0 ad spend. Okay, this means you have to get 104 less leads a year from your other marketing channels if you can get one response from every email once a week. Okay, if you convert 25 of the 52 to annual contracts, in GFP world, this is about $4 grand. So I made this easy. So it's 100 grand. 100 grand. 25 contracts at 100 grand. This equals 100K. If you take the 100K and divide it by the 52 emails that you wrote, how's that treating you? That when you sit down to write an email, it's potentially worth $1,923. Isn't that worth a little bit more time on a subject line? Isn't that worth a little bit more of reading this again out loud? Isn't that worth reading your email over and being like, is this going to kind of get someone's blood to boil? Is this going to be the best thing they read all day? Your email, my goal of every email is that is the best email they get all day long. And I know you guys are getting emails from Seth Godin. I know you guys are getting emails from Darren Hardy and all these different guys. My goal is that you guys get the best email of the day from me. And that's got to be your mindset going in, because it could be worth $1,923 if we do this right, or whatever it would be for you. Makes me want to go back and write all the GFP emails, I'll tell you that. All right. Stop share. Any questions on that?